We hear about AI getting smarter all the time, but what if smarter meant something completely different than what we're used to? Today, we're going to dive into a new frontier in artificial intelligence, something called third-order strategy. And trust me, this isn't just about doing calculations faster. It's about a whole new level of deep, predictive thinking.
Seriously, just think about that for a second. It's kind of like playing a game of chess, right? But imagine instead of just seeing one or two moves ahead, an AI is playing out the entire game in its head. And that includes how you'll react to its tricks, its traps, all before it even makes its very first move. That's the world we're stepping into. So to really get our heads around this third-order strategy, we've got to tweak how we think about AI in general. We're moving way beyond those simple reactive machines into something far more complex and truly strategic.
Okay, the key phrase to lock onto here is multiple layers of reaction and counter-reaction. This is not your simple action-reaction stuff. No, this is about an AI modeling a whole cascade of possible futures, all unfolding at once in real time.
Let's break this down. So, first-order thinking is pretty basic. I see this, so I do that. Simple. Second order is smarter. I'm going to do this because I'm pretty sure you're going to do that in response. But third order? Oh, that's the giant leap. That's the AI thinking. I'll make this move because I know you think I'm going to make a different move, and I'm already planning for your counter to my real move. It's just a whole different ballgame.
So, what's the point of all this complicated thinking? Well, the result is decisions that are just incredibly robust and flexible. These aren't just decisions that work when everything goes perfectly to plan. They're actually designed to work even when the world gets chaotic and totally unpredictable. And you should know, this isn't just some made-up programming idea. It's actually got deep roots in game theory, the mathematical study of strategic decision-making. That's what gives this AI the foundation it needs to not just calculate, but to genuinely strategize against other thinking beings.
All right, so that's the theory. Now let's get to the really exciting part, how this stuff could actually play out in the real world. Because honestly, the applications are, they're potentially world-changing.
And I mean, the possibilities are just huge. Think about finance, right? An AI that could see market shifts that are totally invisible to human traders. Or what about cybersecurity, where it could predict and shut down a cyber attack before it even happens? Even something like self-driving cars could use this to navigate a crazy intersection by predicting what every single other driver is about to do.
Of course, this gets way more serious when you start talking about the military. We're talking about autonomous systems that could literally outthink and outmaneuver not just a human pilot or a commander, but even other advanced AIs. That creates a massive strategic advantage.
But on a much more hopeful note, you could aim this exact same predictive power at some of our biggest global problems. Just imagine an AI that could model the long-term ripple effects of climate change and then design the most effective, layered strategies for us to actually do something about it. The potential for good here is just enormous.
Okay, and this is a really big but, with this kind of strategic power comes a whole bunch of unforeseen consequences and some very, very serious ethical questions that we absolutely have to face.
And this really is the core dilemma, isn't it? It's a double-edged sword. For every amazing potential, there's a danger that goes with it. The power to get better outcomes could be used to exploit ethical loopholes. The same AI that helps us manage risk could accidentally create brand new vulnerabilities or just become dangerously aggressive.
And look, we're not talking about small risks here. We're talking about the potential to destabilize the entire global financial market, to completely shift the balance of power between countries, or to create propaganda campaigns so manipulative we wouldn't even know they're happening. And maybe the biggest risk of all, its behavior could get so complex that we can't predict it, destroying our trust in these systems completely.
Which, of course, brings us to the single most important question in all of this. When you build something this smart and this strategic, how in the world do you keep it on a leash?
Well, the good news is that a lot of very smart people are already working on this problem. So let's take a look at the guardrails being proposed to manage this incredible technology.
This strategy here has to be layered, just like the AI. You start with strict human oversight, always. You build in hard-coded ethical rules it can't break. You have practical things like kill switches. And you even have these fascinating red teams where humans are paid to try and break the AI just to find its flaws. But maybe the most important rule of all is this: we cannot build systems that operate beyond our own ability to understand them.
And a huge piece of that puzzle is something called explainable AI, or XAI. The whole point is to design an AI that can basically show its work. It can tell us why it made the strategic choice it did. Because without that transparency, there's no way to have real control.
But technology alone is not going to be enough. Our laws, our ethics, our whole society has to catch up. We need new rules to figure out who's responsible when a strategic AI messes up, and to make absolutely sure that its actions always line up with our basic human values.
So, where does this all leave us? Let's zoom out and try to bring it all together. What does our future really look like, living and working alongside these new strategic minds?
You know, when you boil it all down, it's about a massive balancing act. We have to keep pushing innovation, but we have to put safety and ethics first. And this can't be a conversation that just happens in some lab somewhere. It needs a real public dialogue, with everyone having a seat at the table.
And let's think about what this does to us. I mean, could interacting with a brilliant strategist AI actually make us all better strategic thinkers? Maybe. But of course, the flip side is also true. If we get too lazy and rely on it for everything, our own decision-making skills could just fade away.
So, to get this right, the research community really has to focus. The priorities are pretty clear. Make the predictive models more reliable, figure out how to safely weave them into our society, and, maybe most important of all, design them to work with humans, not to replace us.
And look, if this tech is going to be a good thing for everybody, we have to share it safely. And that means strong regulations. It means teaching everyone what this AI can and can't do. And it means creating tools so this incredible power doesn't just end up in the hands of a few people.
And that leaves us with one last, really deep thought. You know, for all of human history, strategy has been one of the things that defines our intelligence. So as AI starts to master strategy in ways we can only dream of, we might have to ask ourselves a pretty fundamental question about our place in the universe. What's it going to mean to be human then?